let me see here. All right, we are live. Welcome, guys, on the fourth call with John Ellis and Kenny and me. If you haven't watched one of our previous videos yet and don't know who we are, I'm Ben, this is Ken, and we have a company, Lead Bear. We help HVAC companies get more leads so they can apply the sales magic that John Ellis teaches. So John Ellis teaches a new method that is exceptionally effective, and it's basically called menu pricing. And in this fourth call, we're going to talk about, well, John, tell us what we're going to talk about.
Last week we went through a service called Lifecycle, and so this week is all about maintenance agreements and a maintenance called Lifecycle.
Alrighty then. So let's get
Yeah,
right into it, right? Because we've got a lot to cover.
yeah, super duper excited to be here. Thank you, Ben and Kenny, for having me. It's been a great 3 weeks. We're gonna end this 4 part session with maintenance agreements, and we're gonna talk about some numbers. But early on, so two sessions ago, we talked about figuring out your numbers, your billable hour, your minimum tickets, and all that stuff, and how it applies to your service. Until you know your numbers, you don't know what you need to be charging to run profitable service. But the same holds true for maintenance agreements. And so we're going to do something a little different this week. Kind of excited. I am going to actually do a presentation on the screen while we're here. So I am going to take just a second and get over to that presentation. So just bear with me. See if we practice this. Let's see if we can get it right. And so should happen real quick. Little practice goes a long way.
Yep, I'm seeing it. All right.
And bingo. Are we there?
Yes, sir, we are.
Well,
I would
fantastic.
Ben, if you can, take us off the screen. That way it's just the full screen. Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So once again, my name is John Ellis. I have a business called Dynamic Air Consulting. You can see it down there in the corner. I'm an IAQ solutions consultant, and I help train contractors to learn how to properly diagnose IAQ and have that conversation and sell the jobs. I'm a coach and field service trainer for the new flat rate. A lot of what we're going to be talking about has to do with some of the ways that and processes that the new flat rate does. I'm an IAQ instructor for Dyke and Amanda Goodman, and recently a product ambassador for Dust Free. So again, thank you for having me here. So let's jump right in. So maintenance agreement. What is the goal of a maintenance agreement? So there's a couple different things. One, we want to maintain the equipment. So that's kind of the most obvious, but finding and keeping happy, loyal customers for life. Well, whose life? Well, for their life, for our life, for the life of the equipment, however you want to look at it. But we talked about customer acquisition, but customer retention is important too. And maintenance agreements are a fantastic way to nurture and keep that relationship. But hey, while turning a profit, that is a novel concept, wouldn't you say? So first, how do we keep them happy and loyal? Well, there's a few different ways. The most prominent way would be to ensure that they have safe, healthy, comfortable, and efficient systems. And that is the goal. Keep their equipment running safe, healthy, comfortable, and efficient. But it goes further than that. When I go out to a customer's house and I'm having that conversation with them, I often have these cards and I give them to the customer. I said, hey, you know what? Read these and do me a favor, lay them down in the order that's most important to you so I can make your priorities my priorities.
Hey,
now,
John,
yes,
real
sir.
quick, can you click hide down there on your screen so it'll take away that little? Yeah, perfect.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you. So our industry is super focused on efficiency, but I go all over the United States and you would be surprised. They mostly lay them down just like this: safety, health, comfort, and efficiency. And so our industry has kind of lost sight of what the customer and our our clients really want. Once in a while, you'll see health and safety switched, but more times than not, efficiency is last. So we have to be able to understand and listen to what the customer wants. So one of the best things we can do is offer a superior customer experience and service. We are in the service industry. We talk about having a servant's heart and being customer centric. Put the customer first. Give them the best experience that you possibly can. And that goes a long way in customer retention. But then, how do we turn a profit? That's always the big question. It's important that we went through and we established what we need to be profitable, and that carries right over into the maintenance side of things. Historically speaking, maintenance agreements have not turned a profit. More and more maintenance agreements are losing money. Some companies and departments are literally hemorrhaging money. So why is that? Let's take it reason some. So maintenance agreements have been looked at as a loss leader. So I don't care where you want to sweep this, under which rug. If you want to have maintenance agreements that are losing money and you want to move that over into from your P&Ls into marketing and chalk it up as a loss leader, at the end of the day, I don't care where you sweep it, you're losing money. A couple other reasons are used for customer retention and relationship. Now, this is important. We just talked about this. This is very, very important. But that profit part and being able to make money off of your maintenances. And so we look at the companies departmental wise. So we have a service department. The service department should be profitable and making money. Then we have the install department, and they should be profitable and making money. We have our sales department, which feeds the install department directly, so they better darn well be profitable. And then we have the maintenance department, and it's like the 100-pound gorilla in the room, and they typically have lost money. There's been some talk about, our exit strategy, we're going to sell our company, and we've got a whole bunch of maintenance agreements, and that's going to bring up the value of our company. Well, that's an old school of thought. Actually, they're going to break your company down into departments, and they're going to put it under a microscope. And if they see the maintenance department with 1,500 maintenance agreements and they're all losing money, that does not bode well for having your company appraised. And so that is something we need to look at when, as a KPI, we talked about that early on, KPIs. And so then also looking to the future as we hold that customer demand service repairs, right? So we want them, hey, we got discounts. If you're a maintenance member, we've got a preferred booking. And so we get that. And then eventually we want to get that equipment repair. And so we'll come back to this part a little bit later as we start to digest the numbers. So a maintenance department should be able to stand on its own and be profitable on its own, under its own weight, should be able to. We must have honesty, integrity, competence, common sense, and training to understand how we approach a maintenance, which is a little different than how we approach a service. So we talked about numbers a few sessions ago, and did you know that on average across the United States, it costs about $250 to put a service truck in the driveway for the first 45 minutes. This number varies from state to state and county to county, depending on where you're at. We mentioned that New York is probably a lot higher than that because every single service call or maintenance is a parking ticket, and so they have to bake that into their pricing. But we're just going to use this number, on average about $250. So depending on what you charge for a biannual, twice-a-year maintenance agreement, let's look at this numbers. You may be losing money. For example, let's say you price a 2 visit maintenance agreement at $240. I see this number a lot. You would be surprised. So, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we're going to come out twice a year. It's going to be X amount dollars a month, but the total is going to be $240 for the year. Fantastic. Let's sign up. You get preferred billing. You get discounts. You get preferred booking. So you sign them up. If you only charge $120 per visit, you've already lost $130. Why? Because it costs you $250 to put that truck in that driveway. So right out of the gate, by just leaving the shop, you've lost $130. So that means you lose $260 annually just on one maintenance agreement. It gets worse. So you're going to lose $260 annually, especially if you only go in, perform that maintenance, and leave without any added services. So you go in, you do your maintenance check, you go through your bullet list, whatever that may be, you're done. Hey, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, and you head on down the road. So that is where we start. That's where the disconnect starts. Let's just say you have 1,800 service agreements, and I have a company that I work with that has 2,400 service agreements. If you're following those numbers that I just spelled out, you have the potential of losing $468,000 annually if you only dispatch the truck, they do their maintenance, and skedaddle down the road.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I see this all over the United States, and they want to put that in the loss leader. You're going to sweep $468,000 under the loss leader carpet, or they'll put it in their loss column for their P&Ls, or they'll put it in their marketing. And it's like, I don't care where you put it. The numbers, it's just math. And everybody's numbers are going to be different. But for the sake of this exercise, I just wanted you to see how quick it adds up. And you could be hemorrhaging money or burning money. So how do we fix this? What needs to change? So how about we charge more for that 2 visits? How about if we take a little bit of the pain off, and instead of losing $260 annually, we charge a little more at the front end, and now maybe we're only going to lose $100, and that might be a little more palatable. There is a school of thought now with technology and being able to keep your finger on the pulse of your customers' equipment from your office. With technology, we can do this, and now we can be proactive without actually dispatching somebody to the house. And now maybe we charge the same amount of money, but we only do 1 maintenance visit a year. But we're monitoring their system constantly. And if we see something that is askew, we pick up the phone call and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we are monitoring your system. There's something that's out of place. We would like to have permission to dispatch a service call. And you do it at your rate. And maybe because they're a maintenance agreement, they get a little discount on that rate. But that's another thing that we can do to kind of mitigate the monies that is being lost on a service call, on a maintenance call. But here's the biggest thing. We need to be able to convert maintenance calls into positive tickets, positive invoices with honesty, integrity, training, common sense, right? Treat your customers customer-centric. So we need to be able to start converting maintenance calls into positive tickets and do it, with integrity. So that would involve having a process. So first of all, does your customer even know what all's involved in a maintenance call? I go all over the place, and it's like, so I did a call. We go in. I said, hey, I'm going to run this call, and we get started. And I did the greeting. I go in. I said, hey, just to clarify, did the office or anybody from our company tell you what all's involved in our maintenance service today? And they're like, no, I don't think they did. And then I start to talk to her. Her phone rings, and she says, oh, just a minute. She answers the phone, and she says, hey, can I call you back? The filter guys are here. So there is a problem right there, because we, with all our tools and equipment and experience and knowledge and expertise, was all diminished down to we're a monkey changing a filter. The filter guys are here. So it is imperative that you communicate to your customer what all is involved in your service. We talk about value. We know the value of what we do, but then there's perceived value in the eyes of the customer. If they don't know what you're doing, they think you're there changing a filter, and the husband could, or even they could go change a filter. So it's important to communicate what all is involved. We bring that perceived value up in the eyes of the customer. So do a thorough job. This is a gentleman I was out with. You see the photo on the left. He's got a pressure gauge on the switches. He's got combustion analyzing going. He's got temperature probes. He's got all this information coming back to his tablet. He is doing a thorough job. Do you think that's a little more than being a filter guy? Oh, absolutely. So you need to communicate and show that value in what we're doing. You remember that I said that having a process that each step needs to set the table for the next step. Well, it's no different than a service call. Setting the table for success on a maintenance call requires raising the perceived value of the service. As perceived value and confidence goes up, sales resistance starts to come down, and you've got the confidence of that customer. Lowering sales resistance, that's the main part of the main part of what we need to do. If they trust you and they know you're doing a thorough job and they see that there's a lot of value there, sales resistance will come down. You'll have that small percentage of people that it won't, but we're talking, the 98% here. So what's important to your customers? You remember I had those cards. And so if safety and health is what's most important to your customer, why would you want to start talking about energy? And of course, comfort is kind of encompassing in all of that, but why would you talk energy? If that customer happens to be one of the exceptions and they're really into energy, you don't really go in and start talking about health and safety, although that could be important as well. But knowing what's important to your customer. Safety concerns amount to 80 to 90% on customers' minds across the board. Failure prevention is up there as well, 50 to 75%, because of the inconvenience, breaking down the worst part of the day. Something that is preventable, because this is a preventative maintenance, will lower the probability of a catastrophic failure. So this is high on the customer's mind. And then accessories and sundries and extras really are down there 30 to 50%. So understand what the customer wants, being able to communicate to them in the priorities that they have set will help you in that communication with the customer. So the question is, how do we control a maintenance call? Every step of the process must set the table for the next step in the process. And so we're going to walk through a service call, but I lost my train of thought. What I wanted to say is a maintenance call is the most low-key, relaxed call that we can possibly have. It's usually scheduled. It's not an emergency. They're expecting us on the maintenance because it's been calendared. They know what you're going to do, or you're going to communicate what they're going to do. It's not a breakdown in the worst day of the year and oh my God, how much is it going to cost and all that. So we need to treat it just like that. It's low key, it's casual, it's a great opportunity for us to very casually have conversations with those clients that normally you wouldn't be able to have on an emergency service call. So keep that in mind as we go through. So let's go through it. This is a maintenance call life cycle. Show up at the client's house on time. I told my guys, if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. Show up on time.
I agree with that.
Park the car, have respect for their time. Even though it's a low-key call, they still made a schedule, so keep your schedule. You knock on the front door. So this is we thought this is going to be a little bit like the service call life cycle, but you're going to see it's going to change different. How do you like that front door? Pay attention to where you're at. They answer the door, and you start with your greeting. And I don't care what your greeting is, and it could be something as like, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, what brings us out here today?" Now, she knows you're going for a maintenance call. You know you're going for a maintenance call, and it could be, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm John, and I'm here to take care of your maintenance today." It could be whatever you want it to be, but that is the only thing that happens at the front door. "Hello, I'm John with Dynamic Air. What brings us out here today?" "Well, hey, I believe you're here for our annual checkup, right?" "Absolutely, Mrs. Smith. Can I come in?" Remember, if they don't invite you in, ask permission to come into the castle. Have them show you around. Now, you may have been there before. You may not have. But it could be a conversation like, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, it's been a year since I've been here. Can you show me around?" And when they're showing you around, you would say, "Just to clarify, has anyone told you what all's involved in our maintenance visit today?" They're either going to say, "Why, yes," or they're going to say no. But either way, whether they say yes or no, well, I'll be glad to go over that with you. We're going to go through the mechanical system, performance, and safety system of your equipment, because we want to make sure that everything is working the best it can up to manufacturer specifications, because we want to help ensure that you're not overpaying on your utility bills. And because we believe that safety is no accident for you and your family, it is always our top priority. So I just surmised in those 3 categories my 20-point bullet list that they don't need to know about. This is what we're going to do. Any questions? So now they know, you know, everybody knows. And it's okay whether they say yes or no. Let's go over that again, just because if it isn't said or written down, it never happened. Then you would ask some fact-finding questions. "Hey, how's everything been working? Are there any strange smells or noises that you've noticed lately? Are there any rooms in the house that are colder or warmer or drafty? Is there an unusual amount of dust that you're noticing recently?" And you could even ask, "Hey, are you noticing an increase in your energy bills?" There's a whole host of questions that are fact-finding that will help you, and it creates conversation with the customer. Remember, this is a low-key job. I mean, a low-key call. And so you're just walking around, "Hey, how's everything been working?" So keep it very conversational, keep it very casual, but keep it a matter of a fact. Following the discussion with the customer, let them know, "Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. If I were to come across something that is of a concern that could cause a failure in the upcoming heating and cooling season, what would you like me to do about it?" So I am setting the table for the next step, every step of this process. So that is not a yes or no open-ended question. That is a question that needs an answer. And you create a concern. If I were to find something that is a concern of mine, which means it should be a concern of yours, that could cause a failure in the upcoming heating or cooling season, depending on what it is, what would you like to do about it? "Oh, just go ahead and fix it." "Well, Mr. Smith, I'd love to do that, but I'd never do anything without your permission." So if I were to find something, how about I come and bring it to your attention? Oh, that'd be great. And here's it's no secret that I'm big on indoor air quality. So, how do we bring indoor air quality into the conversation? We've already asked those questions, and I've had clients tell me, yeah, you know what? They walk over to the table and they run their finger. It's like, yeah, it's always dusty in here. Well, that could be connected to indoor air quality, or they may have some concerns. But here's how we bring that into the conversation. One more question before I get started. Is there anybody in the home who has any allergies, asthma, bronchial, or respiratory issues that we should know about? Let their yeses be yes and their no's be no. Yes, little Johnny's got asthma. Or, you know what? I've got multiple chemical sensitivities. You know what? My husband has some respiratory compromises. And so those are very valuable questions and answers to ask your client. I was doing a maintenance call. I think I was in Michigan, and we go in. I go through this whole process. I get to right here, and I ask the guy. He's like, "Yes, my wife's got really bad asthma." And then I went to the next part of this, and I'm going to share it with you. If their answer is no, that's fine. But the answer is yes. Here's a possible answer, depending on how you're outfitted with your company. Our company is having a special right now, and I can run a free 30-minute air assessment. It helps us to identify any pollutants that may be in the home or may be a concern for little Johnny, the husband, to you. You would attach that directly to whatever they told you. Is this something you may be interested in? Again, it's free, and I use Air Advice. And so if they say yes, hey, I'll go ahead and set it up, and I'll run it while I'm doing my maintenance. And by the time I'm done, I've got a report that's sent right to my phone or my tablet. So that customer, I went through all this, got to right here, and he tells me, no, I'm not interested. I'm like, you just said your wife's got terrible asthma, but he wasn't interested. I think it was just a matter of out of sight, out of mind. He didn't want to know. So is this something that you'd be interested in? So if they say yes, you grab your tools, your air testing device, which I happen to use Air Advice, and you explain to them what it is you're going to do. And you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to leave this right here in the center of the house. I'm going to plug it in. It's just going to go ahead and pull samples of the air. I'm going to go ahead and get started with my maintenance. So you get set up, you perform your maintenance, and then identify first any issues that may cause future failures, right? So that's a big thing, and that everything is running up to manufacturer specifications depending on the piece of equipment you're looking at. But those are the things you do first. And remember that I said that safety concerns are first, and then failures are second, and then any kind of accessory would be last that you would bring up. Be thorough and always look for value-added opportunities. So you see what I said there. I didn't say be thorough and look for upsells. Upsell is a curse word to me. Upsells means you're trying to pad the ticket or sell them something they don't need. You look for a value-added opportunity. Well, value to who? Well, value to the customer. It needs to be conveyed that way. But it's going to be valuable to you too, because it's a service that you're able to offer and be able to charge for as well. So I call them value-added opportunities. So what could some of those value opportunities do? So when we're looking, it could be something like you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, that I noticed that your unit is in a closet and they only have one condensate drain coming off the primary, and someone didn't do, and hopefully it wasn't your company, but someone didn't put in the emergency or overflow. And so that could be something. So you would do an emergency overflow with a shut off. And so if the coil backs up, it'll go into there, shut the unit down, and that would prevent catastrophic failure. I am a huge advocate of surge protection. If they don't have surge protection on any piece of equipment, that is a value-added opportunity that is fantastic. You need to carry the parts in the truck. With the equipment we have, everything's got circuit boards, and something as simple as a electrical storm or a brownout or a power surge can take that board off, and then you're in trouble. So something like that. Maybe a UV light on the coil could be something that would be a value-added opportunity. So always keep your eye out. It's got to be done with honesty, integrity, common sense, and with a little practice, it's an easy conversation to have. When you're finished checking everything out, it's time to go talk to the customer. Prepare your findings and be ready to share them. And we talked about, this is where we're going to go back into like the service call script. You would bring your findings, you'd have them loaded on your tablet or write them down, however your company does it, but be ready to have them all ready to present. And it could go something like this. Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, do you have a minute? So I'm finished with your maintenance and everything is running pretty well. However, I am a little concerned. I did find a fault in. This is causing your equipment to operate outside of the manufacturer's specifications, and it could possibly cause a failure in the upcoming heating or cooling season. Hey, but don't worry, we have several options to take care of that today. Would you like to go over them now? And of course, they're going to say yes. So you show the customer the repair options. Explain to them how whatever you found is operating outside of manufacturer specifications, and that this is a preventative move, because it could be good for a week, it could be good for a month, it could last the rest of the year, but it always fails in the worst time. Show them the options and say, what should we do? And allow them to be in control and make a decision. Then you can discuss some value-added opportunities. So you talk about the immediate problem. If the immediate problem is something that is preventative, you just go ahead and present that. If you find something that is a blatant safety issue, bring that one up first. So it would be safety, then the preventative failures, and then you could talk about your value-added opportunities after you address the biggest concerns. And so you have those conversations. I was out with a young maintenance tech in Minnesota, and he'd only been in the trade about a year, and he's doing really good. And we went out, and so I told him, hey, you know what? And he was nervous. I said, don't worry, just go through it. And so he did the greeting. We got started. He was doing his combustion analyzing and checking everything. Very, very thorough, good technician. And I said, hey, do you see, do you know what that is? And I pointed at the filter. He goes, yeah, I think that's an electronic air filter. And I said, absolutely. I said, do you know what else it is? He goes, no, what? I said, it's a boat anchor. It is antiquated technology, and it's not doing anything for the customer. So I want you to put that in your pocket, and when we go talk to the customer, we're going to bring it up. And so we finished out the call. We went out to the truck. We got the tablet out. I had him practice, and then we went in to talk to the customer. And he went through the whole thing. Hey, you know what? We're done with your maintenance. Everything's really good. Hey, but however, I'm a little concerned that you do have a very outdated filtration system. He goes, you know what? He walked over to the desk and he put his finger across it. He says, my wife is constantly dusting. Could that be why? And we're like, absolutely, Mr. Homeowner. We showed him the option for a filter upgrade. He spent $2,400. Bam, $2,400 on an upgraded filtration system that included some custom sheet metal and everything. The maintenance tech couldn't believe it. And I said, you didn't sell him anything. You presented some options. You showed him a problem. He identified that there was a problem, and it was easy going. The guy chose the platinum. He chose the platinum option, and the technician he just couldn't believe it. I was on another one in Texas, and I was with a maintenance, and I said, hey, let me run this one. So we go in. I go through the whole scripting, the whole process, and then I said, okay, we're going to go get started. The guy had 3 air conditioning systems. And so we had to go and they were split systems. So we had to go through all the air handlers and then go outside of the condensing units. They were 22 years old. And so we were finding lots of things that were out of specification. And so we were making our list. And then we were on the last condensing unit, and the homeowner comes out. He goes, how you guys doing? I said, yeah, we're just about done, and we'll share our findings. And he said, I know those things are old, right? I said, yes, sir. They're 22 years old. And he said, I know I have to replace them. I just need a little more time. And I said, no problem. We'll be in a moment. I looked at the technician. I said, did you hear what he said? And the technician glazed over. He didn't hear it. I said, he said he needed more time. I took that. I put it in my pocket. I went out and started my whole discussion with him and went through each system one at a time. And I said, Mr. Homeowner, remember you said you just needed a little more time? I said, well, this is going to do that for you. We can get you some more time. We presented all the repairs. He spent $5,000 on a maintenance because we handled the call, discussed it with him, followed this process. He saw the value. He needed more time, $5,000 on a maintenance visit. The technician was blown away. That's never happened in the history of their company. Since then, the guy has replaced all 3 systems with that company. Nice. That is a superior service, and that is the process working its best. So the only other step would be to go over the air assessment. Remember, they said, yeah, you know what? I've got some things. We're interested in the report. And so it's finished and it's been sent to you. And so you would go, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we did that air assessment report. I have it right here. Would you like to go over it? And so you would have that conversation like this, based on the National Lung Association, the National Heart Association, and I forgot the other one, but you're gonna quote 3 authorities. Some of the levels of pollutants in your home are a little high, and I'm very concerned. But we do have some options. My first option would be 30 minutes isn't enough time to really tell what's going on in your home, but it did give us some valuable data. Here it is. My concern is that things change rapidly over time. These levels are high now, but they could go extremely higher as the day goes on, and they would fluctuate throughout time. For us to really get a solid grasp on what's going in your home, we would like to leave this device here for 1, 2, 3 days. And this is what it would cost to do that. And then we could really have a complete picture of what's going on in your home. And within the new flat rate, I have a building science and IAQ module that I could show them and say, hey, we could leave this for 4 or 5 days, and we could come in with some other devices and take other measurements. Is that something you're interested in? And more times than not, they will, and they'll take that. So yeah, go ahead and leave it for a few days. Or, hey, based on this information I have, we do have some corrections that we can use to address your concerns. Would you like to go over those now? So it's an easy conversation to have. It's based on data. It's third party data. It's not a he said, she said, you said. No, this is, and then you quote the authorities. So I mentioned this earlier. A maintenance visit is the most low key and relaxed call that we can possibly have in our industry. Wonderful opportunity to engage with the customer, have conversations, be personal with them. Just as a matter of fact, and really build that relationship. Use this time to prevent future failures and present value-added services or opportunities while keeping the customer happy and loyal. That is the goal, but we need to be profitable. And that is it. Let me see if I can get out of this safely. And we're back.
And we're back.
Wow, we did it, and I didn't shut the whole thing down like I did last time.
No, you did.
Yeah. So, do you have any questions? Do you see how that, if you have that type of process, it doesn't have to be that exact one, but do you see the opportunities with maintenance agreements on how we can make them profitable? But on the flip side of that coin, do you see how we could really lose a lot of money if it's not addressed properly?
Yeah, and I honestly didn't realize that. So when you said that, I was kind of shocked.
Most companies don't. Like I said,
that's also know
they
your numbers.
They sweep it under the rug, and how do you sweep $468,000 under the rug? That's a big rug.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So that has really kind of been one of my passions, is working with young maintenance techs, and more recently in our trade, a maintenance tech is becoming a thing. And I mentioned to you, I work with a company in Minnesota whose maintenance department is actually catching up to the service department in revenue. And so they're able to stand on their own by following this process. Now, there are some exceptions. If it's a piece of equipment that you installed, I don't recommend offering any kind of services for at least a year. And some companies will give away, as part of their package, the first year's maintenance. So they give away two visits, but that's kind of in those numbers as they're like for a premium package on their equipment sales.
Right.
So that's one thing. Also, understanding where the customer is. Don't start offering stuff that they're not interested in. Stay to what they're concerned about, and it's an easier conversation. And then you can add some things later, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. But I love going out with the young guys and showing them the process and having them do it and having them be successful. And I get calls all the time. Dude, you wouldn't believe what I just did. I followed your process and I just sold a platinum. I was like, that's awesome. And something I want to touch bases on too. When I like last week, I said, most of the monies that you have are tied up in the first repair when you go to a service call. So identifying, also, that second repair, if you can, goes except for materials, goes right to the profit margin. I was working with a plumber in Goshen, Indiana, and we go out and we go through the process. And what brings us out here today? And she's like, yeah, come on, let's go. So the first place we went was to the basement, and it was a finished basement, and the shower above was leaking and was ruining her ceiling and dripping on the carpet. That's pretty high level, right? And then she had a faucet in a bathroom that was leaking. And then she had a hose bib outside that she had to turn off, and it stubbed out in the basement that had froze and cracked, and she had to turn it off. And then finally she had a garbage disposal that wasn't working. And so we went through it. We figured out what we needed to do. We brought our repairs back, and we started with the most pressing, and that would be the shower leaking into the finished basement, ruining the ceiling and the carpet. We started with that one. Then we went to the hose bib because it's frozen and cracked, and they have those anti-freeze hose bibs that for cold weather. And so then we went to the garbage disposal, and then we went to the leaky faucet. You got a minute? So I'm a little concerned. We addressed each of the items that you proposed to us, and we've got several options. What should we do?
Hmm.
She chose a platinum, she chose a gold, she chose a silver, and she chose a bronze. 4 repairs. The you can guess which one was the platinum. That was the shower,
Right.
right? Let's get started. And she bought a new garbage disposal because the one she had in there was 12 years old.
Yeah.
So
Like,
it's just following the process, listening to the customer, and it's like, oh my goodness, yeah. And she took us
yeah.
to the thing that was her biggest pain, and that was that leak, and understandably. And so
Right.
we were able to take care of all that right on the spot, and it ended up being like an $1,800 call somewhere in that
Yeah.
neighborhood.
See, like menu pricing
Um,
allows you to sell more, and so the average client value, customer value goes up. Actually, the average appointment value, because you right. So
yep, yeah, I heard most of that. You were breaking up a little bit, but yes.
right.
So
I was actually just talking to a guy the other day, it was like last Friday, and he did sales training for electricians. And long story short, we were talking a little bit, and sure enough, menu pricing. This is what we train everybody on. And he was showing me numbers and results and everything like that. And I was like, yeah. I was like, that seems to be like the general consensus around here. So, yeah, it works.
yeah, and then the new flat rate does electrical, and I go out riding with electricians all the time.
There you go.
Right.
Yep. Well, it's been a great 4 weeks. We covered a lot of ground. I think there's a lot of value in what we had to offer, and I really appreciate the time and letting me get in front of your audience there. And again, if there's any questions, you feel free to call. And yeah, and we're gonna, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Kenny and Ben and I are gonna talk, and maybe we could do some spot training as we go. And maybe we can focus on selling IAQ as a standalone service. Maybe we can get a little more into equipment sales. And we could talk in general, like big ticket sales for like plumbing and electrical and what that looks like.
Yeah.
Sure. For sure. Yeah.
As far as everybody that wants to reach out to John, what we'll do, we did last week too, we'll put his phone number in the comments. That way, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can reach out to him, find out about the menu pricing and everything like that, and can go from there. Sound good, John?
Yeah. Well, we got done just a little early this time.
Yeah, a little bit early. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you hopping on in the group in the 4 weeks and helping everybody out, trying to teach as many people everything that you know. So I thought it was very good, and we appreciate it.
Awesome. It's
Yep.
been my pleasure.
All
Thank
right.
you, John.
See you guys.
See you. Bye.